Now, it's National Transportation Awareness Month at the moment, and in the past few weeks, we've looked at things like electric cars, bullet trains, and rapid transport. Today, we're going to bring it back down to earth and talk about cycling. Now, recently, Kat took to the streets of Cape Town to investigate how viable it is to commute by bicycle. Take a look.
A very popular saying these days is, what a time to be alive. And it's very true when it comes to transportation. You see, very recently, we've just gotten a glimpse into a future that is possibly not run by fossil fuels. A future wherein the problems of carbon emissions and inner city traffic congestion could all be solved by a 19th century invention that's changing the way that we look at modern day transportation and everyday commuting.
There were a number of early bipedal inventions, but John Boyd Dunlop's introduction of a practical pneumatic tyre in the 1890s kicked off the golden age of bicycles.
So currently there are over 1 billion bicycles in the world, with 450 million of them in China. And how many in Beijing again? Wait, that's just a song. But the big question is this: how do we see this form of transport merging into the modern motorized world?
The Netherlands holds the record as the country with the largest number of cyclists in the world. Its capital, Amsterdam, has more than 500 kilometers of bicycle lanes, and 50% of total commuting is done by bike.
So maybe you should give it some thought, because if you're traveling less than 20 kilometers per day, it might be easier for you to do it on a bicycle. In fact, with rising fuel costs, if you're traveling less than 10 kilometers per day, it might be cheaper and faster for you to be on a bike than it would be in a bus or a car.
In Jersey, the Joburg Urban Cyclists Association is trying to create a cycle-friendly city for its commuters. The JUCA has developed a map to highlight routes defined by experienced commuters, connecting residential areas to common destinations.
Now, the city of Cape Town has introduced cycling lanes in Gugulethu, Khayelitsha and the southern suburbs. So I guess you could say we're gearing up for the future.
When commuting by bike, it's important to make sure you stay visible. Wear bright clothing and reflective tape if possible. Always wear a helmet and ride as if you are invisible to traffic.
So not only is cycling great and healthy for your body, but it makes for a cleaner and healthier city too. This National Transportation Month is all about moving forward together. And life is a ride, so let's step up to it.
And Kat doing it with a sense of style as well. So we continue with our celebration, I think, and awareness campaigns around National Transportation Awareness Month. And today we are talking about cycling. Now, there's a growing percentage of South Africans who commute to and from work via bicycle. But our country still has a lot of ways, or a long way to go, rather, until its cities are safe and, of course, accessible to riders. So the Pedal Power Association, that's been around for 40 years, believe it or not, aims to create cycle-friendly cities. And joining us today is their CEO, Robert Fergal. Robert, welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome to see cycling on the up and up in Johannesburg, certainly here in the Cape and in Durban, but we do need cities and our infrastructure to support that. So first of all, tell us what all the Cycle to Work Week is all about.
Well, it's Transport Month in October, and there are a lot of initiatives going on. Most recently, there was a Cycle to Bike to Work Week in Stellenbosch. And we feel it's a good time to raise awareness for changing your mobility, to think out of the car, so to speak, not out of the box, and just look at other options of being mobile in your city. So for us as a cycling organisation, the bicycle is obviously critical to that, and we'd like to encourage as many people as possible who have the option to use a bicycle to try it out and see if they can ride to work. And there are a lot of benefits attached to that as well.
Well, I was going to ask that. We know that obviously there is a health benefit that is massive attached to that, but what are some of the things that you guys highlight through the campaign?
Well, health is one of the biggest factors there. Cycling is healthy, and the one thing we shouldn't forget around all of it, it's fun.
Yeah,
cycling is fun.
It's a joy, yeah.
So, you think back to your childhood, you were learning how to ride a bike with your mom and dad. We tend to forget about that as we get a bit older and we aspire to different things. So it's fun on a bike, but it also alleviates congestion. Yeah. You're very mobile in a built-up space. So take a city like Cape Town or Johannesburg. To get in and out of your car, to park, takes time. With a bike, you're agile, you're quick, you can take a few shortcuts that you might not be able to access with a car. So it offers you that flexibility as well.
I wish we were broadcasting in simulcast on radio right now, because I know there are people in traffic going, I wish I was on the back of a bike. And traffic is it has a psychological effect on the country as well. And that, I think, is the big question that jumps to mind for me is, do our cities, does the infrastructure support us being able to ride safely on a bicycle to work?
Yes and no. I mean, what we're seeing now is there's a real interest in mobility, in changing mobility, because we're all facing that problem of congestion. And if we think back to the history of a bicycle, the roads weren't built for cars. They were actually built for bicycles. And then cars took over that space and pushed the bike out. So we're seeing a resurgence where cities like Cape Town and Johannesburg are looking at mobility on a bicycle and are now keen to engage with organizations like ourselves, and other advocacy groups have been working long and hard to fight for the rights of a cyclist. And we have a bicycle strategy in the city of Cape Town. It's now in its third draft. The city have made firm commitments to supporting cycling, to think of cycle paths and also non-motorized transport links when planning new infrastructure projects. We see that now in the Kommetjie corridor, for instance, here in Cape Town, where cycle lanes are part of that process of planning.
And we know that we've still got a long way to go, but I'm sure from your side, and certainly from the organisation's perspective, it must feel like finally there is a bit of momentum, or at least a bit of traction, excuse the pun, coming through. But thank you for all the work you're doing, and I think we have to add to that, please, as motorists, be mindful of cyclists, and cyclists, be mindful of motorists as well. Robert, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck with this year's campaign. So there you have it. There are other ways to get around the traffic, literally get on the back of a bike and support an incredible initiative.